All right, guys, I'll start with injury report. Crowder won't practice today. He'll be with strength and conditioning. Hopefully, we're taking the next step here to where we can get him out at practice on Thursday. Sam Ficken, he won't practice today. He's doing some rehab kicking. Same thing Friday will really kind of be our test on that one to see where he's at. Jordan Jenkins will not practice today with ribs and shoulder. We'll see where he's at after today. Bradley, he will not practice today with the shoulder. The rest of the week, I'm not really sure if we're going to be able to get him back on Thursday or Friday or at all. We're still going through some evaluation processes on that. And then Perryman is in the concussion protocol, and he will not practice today. Limited will be Josh Andrews with the shoulder, Becton with the shoulder.
Hey, doing, Connor? What's up, man?
Sam with the shoulder, Fant with the knee, Gore with the hand, Alex Lewis with the shoulder, and then Blake Cashman with a hamstring. So those guys will be limited today. And with that, whatever questions you guys got.
Adam, how did Sam come through the game in the last couple of days with his shoulder? How's he feeling?
He seems that was the least of his worries. I mean, it seemed like he was fine with that. I heard no complaints. You know, there was a few hits he took in the game that were, you know, we have to try to avoid him getting hit. Like he got high load a couple of times that were pretty. I think we're lucky that he got out of that game healthy.
So him being only limited, is that more precautionary in today's practice?
Well, he's limited because, you know, an individual, we have him on a pitch count. Individually, he doesn't do what he normally does. Unfortunately, I found this out the hard way. If you, like, take him off one rep at 7-on-7, like, you can get fined for things like that. So, you know, we're just trying to make sure that we're abiding by the rules.
And with McDougal, it sounded like that might be somewhat serious. Is he going for an MRI on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're going through all these processes. You know, this is one of those ones where we got to talk through with him, and kind of see where he's at with the information that we're given. We're still going through that process right now. I mean, we have been for the last couple of days. We're trying to get second opinions. We're trying to really make sure that one, he's in a good place with whatever decision is made as far as, you know, will we have the opportunity? He would be okay to play? Is it something that we need to get taken care of? You know, we're trying to get all that information.
Adam, have you made a decision on the play calling for this week?
Yeah, we're going to keep it the same.
Why'd you reach that decision? Did you like what you saw last week?
Well, I just think it's, you know, I know as far as the amount of time that I was able to spend in other areas, but at the same time still be able to, you know, help the offensive side of the ball. I do think there's going to be things that, you know, I'll notice throughout this process. I just don't think it's a one week thing. I don't even really think, you know, saying, hey, all right, hey, there was a 1 week, now we'll change it back to what we were doing. Like, I think I got to see this play out a little bit to where, you know, other things will pop up. Like, you know, there might be some other things that I noticed that maybe I could get fixed that will help us, you know, do things better in the long run.
In the second half of the game, when obviously you're not moving the football and Dowell's calling the plays, how much input do you have in a situation like, because obviously what he's calling is not working. So do you have suggestions or input in a situation like that?
Yeah. You know, Rich, I guess I was trying to put myself in his shoes as far as, you know, now I was a coordinator for a defensive head coach, you know, to where, you know, running the ball was always good, you know, throwing the ball was not good, you know, so it was a different conversation. You know, between series, I would, you know, just maybe just a couple things of, hey, these two things, you know, could free somebody up, or these two things could, you know, help us protection wise, or I wasn't trying to overload. You know, those guys were doing a good job communicating as an offensive staff. They were talking through stuff. there was some plays that we had opportunities on, we didn't necessarily execute. So it wasn't really the play call in those situations. It was the right play call. We just got to finish the play differently. That's why I was trying to stick to what we were doing instead of just being like, oh, call this. I didn't feel like it was a play call thing that was going on, why we didn't have success. We have to still execute whatever's called.
The other day you said that it was different not calling the plays. How was it different? Like, what did you see? What did you use your time on during the game? What was it like?
Yeah, I'm used to for 3+ hours, I'm used to like always doing something, looking at pictures, kind of writing my notes down, thinking through the next series. It's just a different vantage point because you look through the pictures and you might hit a couple of suggestions, and now you're on the defensive side, actually really intensely watching what was going on, listening to what's going on, hearing what they're talking about, thinking through situational, things of, hey, is there anything I can do to help them? It's just a different, you're doing something different completely than what I've done in the past. And there's a lot of, when you call plays, you're making a lot of decisions very quickly in a short period of time. You don't have a lot of time to think. It's all reaction. And your brain's going nonstop, where when you're not calling plays and all of a sudden you're more viewing, you can really be specific about your suggestions.
Adam, we've asked a lot about Herndon this season, but just the tight ends as a whole. You had the one catch that was called back on Sunday, so you ended up with no catches on the stat sheet. What do you see there, and how much of it is, hey, we have to scheme a way to get the ball to these guys versus they have to get open and get the ball?
Yeah, it's a shame that we got called for a penalty there because, that play was called for that coverage. And we got the matchup we wanted, and Chris did what he was supposed to do, and he ran away from the guy, and we got a first down, but we get pulled back. I do think they got caught in protection quite a bit due to the amount of safety pressures they were bringing. Some of it is the team you're playing. They don't want us to get that group out. They want to try to make it hard for those guys to where we either got to leave them in protection. You don't want a linebacker on Chris because Chris will find a way to get open on those guys, and they're blitzing the safeties as much as they are. It's, they got one more than what we have if the tight end doesn't stay in.
Is it shocking to you? Because, for those of us who watched training camp, Chris was like the best player on the field a lot of days. And Griffin, too. Griffin had some great moments for you last year. Is it surprising to you that you guys haven't been able to get them going? A
little bit. I really thought those guys would have, their numbers would be a lot better than what they are. It's hard to pinpoint right now exactly the reason. I feel like, especially early in the season, we went into games and, Chris was a focal point of what we were trying to do. Tried to call his number, but whether it was dictated by coverage or something went wrong, it was, it didn't work out to where we never got him going. And I think that's something, especially, I know we're 2 weeks away from the bye week, that we can definitely are going to be like, what is going on? Why is this not looking the way that we wanted it to look like when we started?
Adam, there's been a ton of pre-trading deadline speculation on Quinnen. So what is the organization's official position on him?
That he's going to be here. Those are false. I talked to Quinnen. I've not heard one thing come from anybody in the front office about him being traded. I know Joe talked to Quinnen. He talked to his agent. There's nothing to that. It's false.
And also, just to follow up on that, I think maybe last week was one of his better games. Could you, amplify that? And also, has he been coming on in recent weeks?
I think there's been some times where I really see him show up. It's the consistency of down in and down out, max, effort and, playmaking ability, finishing the plays, doing the right thing, not having the roughing the passer. Like that's the maturation of a young player too. You know what I mean? Like keep understanding why Aaron Donald is who he is, because that guy is 0 to 100 every play from play 1 to the end of the game. And sometimes, like as a defensive lineman, if these guys are doing it right, you're going to have to come out of the game, because when a ball's thrown, and last week I saw this quite a bit from the D-line where those guys are planting their foot and they're running down the field. When I see Basham pushing a guy out of bounds 15 yards down the field and he started at the line of scrimmage and he was the Russian, that says something to our defense about the effort those guys are getting. They're not going to be able to do that for 10 straight plays. So it's, they might be on there for 4 and then come out. Those are the things that, like Quinnen, he does it a lot of the times. We have to just get everything we can out of him in that aspect of understanding how to play the game for 60 minutes. And I think he's getting close to that, because he's showing up. He's making some big plays at some critical moments. He's defeating blocks and short yardage situations and making tackles in the backfield, and he's finding ways to disrupt the passer. We just have to make sure that we don't hit the guy in the head. Like, we got to lower our strike zone, we got to bend our knees, and we just don't hit him in the head, and we'll have good plays.
Challenge this week, obviously, the team you're facing, and what's the message you try to give your guys to make sure they give you a little more, because obviously the people are expecting it to be pretty lopsided.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate complementary football game. We know who we're playing. We know what they did last year. We know what they've done this year. We just try to make sure that we give our keys to the game in all 3 phases and understand how we have to play together as a group. But we need each phase to execute things a certain way. We know the quarterback we're facing. We know one side's going to help the other. Patrick's, he's the best quarterback that I've seen. I mean, I haven't seen him play in person yet, but on tape, it's just some of the things he does. I just are unreal. I mean, the guy's phenomenal, and when you watch him, it's, it looks like he's playing at a different speed than everybody else. I mean, this just seems like this game is way too easy for him from what I've seen. And in the past with good quarterbacks, I mean, he makes it look really easy.
We'll do 2 more for Coach.
Adam, with Bari, I think his window is up. Is he coming off of IR?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some guys that we're going to end up activating, bringing off IR, getting back healthy to be able to start practicing. I think we're going to release those at some point today.